end of times ain't what it seems.
Hello, friends. This is Sam Cheney reporting for Weaponized News. Today's July 14th, 2026. Thank you for joining us on this Tuesday edition of Weaponized News. It's quite horrific. We're bombing Iran right now. They're bombing us back. They're bombing our bases in Bahrain, Jordan, all over the place. We got all these details for you and much more. Strait of Hormuz is blockaded once again. It's a disaster. I'm going to cover all those details for you. The ins and outs of Iran war on day one. Where are we at here? Day 136. 136th day of the Iran war. It only appears to be escalating. Looks like the Senate did block the NDAA for a minute here. We'll get to that reporting. We had a bunch of surveillance, police state news, scientific dictatorship news, flock news, surveillance center news, the spy glasses, bunch of this, little bit of Epstein news today, bunch of economic news, geopolitical news, and the genocide in Lebanon and Gaza continues, tragically enough. All of those details for you as well on this Tuesday. See a few people coming online. Welcome, welcome. Shout out to Mac. They're on the YouTube. All right, let's get to this day in history and get to all this news quite a bit. On this day in our history, first of July 14th, we go back to the year 1581. We see English Jesuit priest Edmund Campion arrested for sedition in Anglican England. He's later hung, drawn, and quartered. Quite a torturous death there. On this day, 1789, the French Revolution begins with the storming of the Bastille prison in Paris, now celebrated as Bastille Day, France's national day. Happy Bastille Day, France. 1798. 1798, on this day, we saw the first direct U.S. federal tax on states enacted to finance military buildup. Dwellings, land, and slaves are subject to tariff. Also in 1798, we saw the U.S. Sedition Act prohibits any false, slanderous, and malicious writings about the government. 1853, on this day, we saw the World's Fair opens in New York City. Then U.S. President Franklin Pierce opens the expedition of the industry of all nations, a World's Fair at the Crystal Palace in New York City. On this day, 1864, gold is discovered in Helena, Montana. 1868, on this day, Alvin J. Fellows of New Haven, Connecticut, patents the tape measure. 1877, on this day, we saw a U.S. general strike brings railroads to a standstill. 1914, on this day, we saw American engineer Robert Goddard granted the first patent for liquid-fueled rocket design for his liquid-fueled rocket design. On this day, 1933, in Germany, we saw all non-Nazi political parties are banned in Germany. And also in 1933, Germany begins mandatory sterilization of people with hereditary illnesses. And where did they learn their eugenics from? Well, they learned it from America. So there you go. Many say they did not see that coming. On this day, 1938, fascist dictator Benito Mussolini's fascist regime publishes the Antiseptic Manifesto of Race, Mussolini's manifesto, published on this day. 1945, we saw battleship USS South Dakota is first U.S. ship to be bombarded by Japan. 1951, on this day, we saw the first color telecast of a sporting event. ZBS, I guess it was CBS back then, first color telecast of a horse race, 1951 on this day. 1969, on this day, the United States 500,000, $5,000, and $10,000 bills are officially withdrawn from circulation. On this day in 1982, Pink Floyd The Wall premieres at Empire Square in London. Pink Floyd The Wall musical film adaptation. That is a crazy film, Pink Floyd The Wall. Everybody should check that out. 1983 on this day, Mario Brothers is the first released by Nintendo in Japan as an arcade game featuring Italian-American plumber Mario and his brother Luigi, right? Mario Brothers. 1987, on this day, Lieutenant Colonel Oliver North concludes 6 days of congressional testimony in the Iran-Contra scandal. 2015, on this day, scientists from the Large Hadron Collider announced the discovery of a new particle called pentaquark. And 2021, on this day, drug overdose deaths in the United States rose by 30% to a record 93,000 the year before in 2020, according to the CDC. And we had a couple on this day in our civil liberties histories. I got it in a row here. Let's start. On this day in our civil liberties history, we go back to the year 1948. Segregationist Dixiecrats walk out of Democrat Party convention, create States' Rights Party. Segregationist Southerners, reacting to President Harry Truman's civil rights program, walked out of the Democrat Party convention on this day and founded an independent States' Rights Party dedicated to preserving racial segregation. On this day, 1957, we saw the Fund for the Republic to support studies of Cold War impact on civil liberties. The Fund for the Republic, established with a large grant from the Ford Foundation, announced on this day that it would commission studies of U.S. Cold War policies on individual freedom and traditional concepts of civil liberty. The study would focus on 3 issues: the impact of the draft, the effect of measures to control sedition and subversion, and the growth of government secrecy and counterintelligence agencies. On this day, 1970, in our civil liberties history, then President Richard Nixon approves Houston Plan for violations of Americans' rights. President Nixon on this day approved the Houston Plan, a secret program that called for massive violations of civil liberties to combat what Nixon believed was a threat to law and order in the United States from anti-war activists and other radicals. Following the massive anti-war demonstrations in May 1970, which were marked by the fatal shootings of 4 demonstrators at Kent State University by Ohio National Guard on May 4th, 1970, Richard Nixon, president then, and his top aides believed that law and order was about to collapse in the United States. Consequently, on June 5th, 1970, he established a special interdepartmental committee on intelligence directed by White House aide Tom Charles Houston to develop a plan to disrupt radical activities. The Houston Plan, as it became known, called for illegal activities such as wiretapping, burglaries, and the kidnapping and secret deporting of radicals. After initially approving the plan, on this day, Nixon abruptly rescinded it on July 27, 1974. And then finally on this day, in 1975, FBI director admits to history of illegal black bag burglary jobs. Law and order, trust the government. They're a pack of criminals. Who cares, right? They've weaponized the DOJ today and forever. Anyhow, in testimony before the Senate Church Committee on this day, FBI Director Clarence Kelly admitted to a history of FBI burglaries, which the Bureau called black bag jobs. FBI black bag jobs began around 1940. They were formally approved by the Eisenhower administration on March 8th, 1956, as part of the notorious COINTELPRO program. Director Kelly's statement was a rare and perhaps the first ever admission of wrongdoing by the FBI. The Church Committee was established on January 27, 1975 to investigate abuses by the intelligence agencies, including the FBI, the CIA, and the NSA. Its most sensational revelation involved CIA plots to assassinate leaders of foreign countries, including Fidel Castro, which President Gerald Ford banned on February 18th in 1976. And old Cuba's going through it. They're facing a blackout. They're under siege by American naval blockade, and they're facing an energy blackout in Cuba. Here's our segue to the news. Trump bragging about murder.
Probably a madman, but he was a general, and he had total control over the country. And I actually think the leaders of Iran were afraid of Soleimani. But I killed him. And by the way, with him went a very bad person also.
There's Trump openly bragging today that he's a murderer. Shout out to everybody coming online here now. I see a few people. Thank you for joining us on this Tuesday edition. So Iraq, how many Iraqis did we kill? Over 1 million Iraqis, right? Iraq's prime minister arrived at the White House. See if we could spy a Freemason handshake here. They gave us a good shot there. I don't know. Not so much. Not so much. So Iraqis, what the heck's this guy's name? Iraqi's Prime Minister Ali al-Zedi. He's at the White House. They're trying to, over there in Iraq, they're trying to do gun control essentially and bring in the firearms of all these militia groups that are there. It may just start a civil war in Iraq. And they probably would love that as well. At least America would. Let's see. Yeah, so there are little talks there back and forth. Trump acting like a fool as always. Iraqi dude, just like, yeah. I don't even know how Iraq president goes and visits America, honestly, after all the death and destruction we bestowed upon them for attacking us on 9/11. Wait a minute. They never even accused Iraq of attacking us on 9/11. They had weapons of mass destruction, just like Iran. It was going to nuke us in 2 weeks. All that turned out to be total lies. So I don't even know how an Iraqi can sit there with the U.S. president, honestly. Trump says at this meeting with the Iraqi president earlier today, the Middle East is coming together like it's never come together before. They're bombing the hell out of everything right now as we speak. It's just like, what? They're pumping. They're getting desperate. Trump administration, they know they're losing public support. Never-ending lies, propaganda. They're pumping the Q BS. Again, this is right from the White House, meme of the day. Trust in Trump, no panicins. Pumping this Q psyop BS. It's already played out. Trump is the swamp, okay? It's absurd insult to anybody's intelligence following along here at this point. Guardian of the Hormuz Strait. Oil is flowing like never before, Trump says. Thanks to the awesome power of the U.S. military. He wrote a big old, Trump can't meme anymore. The right can't meme. I'm not even going to read you all this. Because it's flat out lies. Oil's not flowing. Okay? So his lies and propaganda are easily discredited here now. He doesn't care. He doesn't care. 6 days of U.S. strikes on Iran. At least 23 Iranians killed, 100 wounded, according to Iran. According to Iranian provincial officials and state media, here is what has been reported day by day. So we'll go back and start on the 9th, July 9th through the 10th. 14 Iranians killed, 78 wounded across 5 provinces in the opening wave of the most recent bombing campaign. We held off a day, gave them a break on July 11th. Then on July 12th, 1 Iranian killed, 2 wounded at Farur in Bandar. Iranian state media identified the man killed as Mahdavi, a telecommunications maintenance worker, hit while on the job. The next day, July 13th, yesterday, 2 killed, 2 dead Iranians, 3 wounded at Khuzestan oil refining city near the Iraqi border. 1 killed, 7 wounded in Nain near Isfahan in central Iran. 1 killed and 2 wounded in Bandar Abbas, the main port on the Strait of Hormuz. And 1 killed and 4 wounded in Mahishar petroleum manufacturing facility. Now today, and it's ongoing, they're bombing them right now as this show's live. So this is the latest from earlier today. 4 wounded in Omidah in the southwest oil province. 3 killed in southeastern coastal province, Hormuz. And we're bombing them right now. That's just the latest update as it develops here. So I do believe we'll be reporting tomorrow about a lot more dead Iranians. Kish Island Water and Electricity Company says U.S. strikes targeted water and power infrastructure on Iran's Kish Island. Target, again, blowing up civilian infrastructure like water and power infrastructure is a war crime. The IRGC says it struck U.S. airbase in Jordan. It said it targeted key facilities and U.S. personnel at an airbase in Jordan with ballistic missiles early this morning during the latest phase of its Nassar 2 operation. That's what the IRGC is calling retaliation here now against the American attacks. The IRGC said that the base had been used to launch attacks against Iran. It also claimed the same facility supported U.S. operations that killed 186 school children and teachers in Menab during the first day of the latest attacks. Yeah, they're bombing the hell out of our bases there. We have video of it. You can't really see much. It's at night. There's a bunch of explosions going off. This report, Iran hit Bahrain with intense attacks tonight. Multiple air defense missiles reportedly malfunctioned during interception. It looks like I guess we'll show you this one. It just looks like a giant fireworks show. Not much to see, but yeah. That's in Bahrain. Iran's IRGC Navy and Air Force, which we destroyed multiple times, according to Trump, announced it fully destroyed weapons and parts storage facilities at the Sheikh Issa base in Bahrain and an MQ-9 drone deployment ramp at the Al Salem base in Kuwait. So what they've attacked our bases in Bahrain, Kuwait, and Jordan so far, destroying multiple drones. The IRGC warns that as long as the U.S. continues its malicious activities in the region, not a single drop of oil and gas will be exported from the region, adding that continued U.S. aggression will only delay the reopening of the Strait of Hormuz. As we continue to report, this whole thing's designed to create a worldwide energy crisis, worldwide famine. Iran has launched the largest attack on Bahrain of the war. This is the Hormuz letter I'm reporting out of here now. According to them, Iran's launched the largest attack on Bahrain of the war with over 30 missiles targeting U.S. assets, including missiles carrying a cluster munitions warhead. Continuous and heavy explosions reported across Bahrain, with residents reporting window shaking. This follows attacks on Kuwait earlier in the day. But didn't Trump just, what was that idiot thing? Oh, Trump said the Middle East is coming together like it's never come together before. Earlier today with the Iraqi president. Trump threatens to plunge Iran into darkness. Let's play this clip. This is straight up war crimes. He needs to be impeached and removed. Okay? 25th Amendment his ass.
We're going to hit him very hard the night after. And then next week it gets really bad for them because next week comes the power plants. Next week comes the bridges. We're going to knock out all their power plants. We're going to knock out all their bridges unless they get to the table and negotiate.
Well, that's a good negotiating tactic. We're going to blow up your civilian infrastructure. Come and make a deal. He's bragging about committing war crimes on the war channel Fox News. He needs to be impeached now. Strikes on Iran will continue until I say it's enough. More from Trump's interview he did a few hours ago on the war channel Fox News.
Will these strikes continue?
They'll continue until I say it's enough. I mean,
Will these strikes?
So we have a madman dictator, Trump, megalomaniac, out of his mind. He needs to be removed. Congress needs to do their job and remove this maniac from commander-in-chief position. Iran vows to bomb American bases until ultimate victory after deal shattered. Drone after drone streaks through the sky in the fiery seventh wave. I guess now it's, who knows even how many wave of attacks are on now. And there's video, but there's not much. You know what I mean? Shot at night. I'll show you a little, but it's a massive retaliation campaign by Iran. Iran's message to Trump: claim to have destroyed all of Iran's military capabilities, yet being slapped around. Two reasons: they're lying. Iran blessed by Jesus. Let's read the latest message they slapped on the side of a missile here out of Iran. Both sides love doing this. Our side, America, we love signing the missiles. I don't know what that depravity is about, but you see them signing the missiles all the time. So Iran stuck this sticker on the side of a missile. It says, if they claim to have destroyed all or most of Iran's military capability, yet they are still being slapped around by Iran, there are two reasons. First, they are lying. Second, the prayers and blessings of the prophets Moses, Jesus, David, and Solomon stand behind the monolithic nation of Iran. They even threw Jesus in there as the prophet for good measure. How you like that, Christian Zionists? Dozens of Iranian MPs declare Islamabad MOU dead, vow revenge for Khomeini killing. You think? Think it's dead? 180 Iranian MPs issued a statement demanding retaliation, ending the Islamabad understanding with the United States, forming a special negotiating commission, passing the Strait of Hormuz management law, and providing full support to the armed forces of Iran. U.S. Central Command says at 3 p.m. Eastern Time today, U.S. Central Command forces began launching an additional round of strikes against Iran to continue degrading Iranian capabilities used to attack commercial shipping in the Strait of Hormuz. The strikes are taking place as American forces prepare to resume the naval blockade against Iranian ports and coastal areas. The blockade goes into effect at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. There you go. So all this proves Trump is a lying war criminal. U.S. forces resumed the naval blockade against vessels transiting to and from Iranian ports and coastal areas. This is U.S. Central Command. They say there are currently more than 20 U.S. Navy warships and hundreds of military aircraft operating across the Middle East. American forces remain vigilant, lethal, and ready. It's on. It's horrific. Lindsey Graham's sister, Darlene Graham, has officially been sworn in to take her brother's place as U.S. Senator for the great state of South Carolina. She is expected to support Section 219 of the NDAA, which would merge United States military with Aardvark military. Some good news for a second here on that front. Antiwar.com reports Senate Democrats block advancement of $1.1 trillion NDAA over Iran war. A procedural vote to advance the bill fell well short of the 60 votes it needed. Senate Democrats earlier today blocked the advancement of the 2027 NDAA, citing President Trump's war with Iran, which continues to rage following the collapse of the U.S. MOU. The NDAA would provide the Pentagon with over $1.1 trillion in funding as part of the White House's plan for a $1.5 trillion military budget for fiscal year 2027, a nearly 50% increase from this year. A procedural vote of 50 to 46 fell well short of the 60 votes that it needed to advance the NDAA. Every Democrat except two who weren't present for the vote, Fetterman and Padilla, voted against advancing the sprawling military spending bill. A quote now from Palestinian ultra-Zionist Chuck Schumer: the NDAA cannot become a permission slip for the recklessness that we see occurring in Iran, said Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer. According to Politico, Donald Trump does not get to drag the American people deeper into a war he cannot explain and does not know how to end, and then demand Congress look the other way. Schumer also noted in a post on X that bipartisan majorities in Congress passed legislation to end this war that Trump is ignoring, referring to the War Powers Resolution that both the House and Senate passed last month, directing President Trump to end the war with Iran. I'm sorry, I got to agree with Chuck Schumer here, even if he's doing it all for strictly bipartisan political reasons. If that's the best we got, that's the best we got. Stop this damn war now. And they're doing it, I guess. Hey, we got a little reprieve for a minute here now in the Senate. We'll see how this sorts out. Keep reporting on it. But Trump's playing the semantical lawyer game with the DOJ and the Department of War. Oh, well, we signed the MOU, so that was a pause. And so now the latest attacks are a restart of the 60 days. And it's just bullshit. It's straight bullshit. It's been a war the entire time. They play these word games, send out a memo, the MOU. Neither side ever planned on following it. Iran made it clear from the beginning. You tell your mad dog aardvarks to leave freaking Lebanon. Aardvarks laughed. Basically, Trump laughed. And it was like, that's the freaking key sticking point right there for the whole world to see. And they laughed it off. And so there you go. There you go. Now we need the damn Congress to go ahead and start prosecuting the impeachment of Trump here now. I guess it needs to start in the House and then go to the Senate for his trial and all. We need to run through that routine for war crimes now, not for some bullshit. Of course, that'll never happen because the entire Congress is complicit in all of this. We'll get to more of this reporting in the geopolitical section of the show. But hey, we got a reprieve for a minute here now. We'll take anything we can get at this point with bombs flying all over the place. On to surveillance state, spying, data. What do you even call this? Scientific dictatorship technocracy is what it is. The greater North America. Well, Trump posted an image of that we'll get to later. Anyhow, back to on the ground surveillance state. OpenAI is planning to release a screenless speaker as its first hardware product, according to Bloomberg. Really? You're going to put an OpenAI screenless speaker in your house? Like, seriously, how many idiots are going to do this? Probably a whole lot. But be aware. And we reported, I think it was last week we reported on this because we're covering the corrupt government every day. But now the Wall Street Journal is reporting on it. Meta is flooding the market with smart glasses. Privacy advocates are up in arms. And so, yeah, company Meta's betting that AI-enabled smart glasses capable of capturing everything you see and hear are the future. And the company is doing all it can to make its fast evolving devices catch on. Company executives wear smart glasses at public events. Meta donated more than 100,000 pairs of these spy glasses, the little, and they don't, the light doesn't even turn on now to tell you it's a recording. So just assume anytime you see anybody with Ray-Bans, they're freaking secret spies. Meta donated more than 100,000 pairs of the spy glasses to veterans on Trump's birthday weekend. We reported on the time and said, On one hand, it's good that you want to help blind veterans see better, but we see you and know that you have ulterior motives, and you're just using it as a spy device, and you could give a damn if these veterans go blind wearing your glasses, for that matter. Meta used AI to target workers with medical conditions for layoffs. According to a new lawsuit, 26 former Meta employees are suing, accusing the company of using AI that disproportionately targeted people with disabilities or workers who took medical leave in selecting people for mass layoffs. Flock is now in over. That's these surveillance cameras. I think it's went pretty viral. Majority out there are aware of who Flock and what they are all about. Flock is now in over 5,000 communities, conducting over 20 billion license plate scans every month. Flock's CEO says they respect the democratic process, but when a Cleveland commission voted not to renew the AI company surveillance contract, the decision was promptly reversed with little explanation. This is what it looks like when politicians don't respect the people. It is, in fact, the opposite of the democratic process. The More Perfect Union has to explain. Here's the report. Yeah, the government, again, Republican, Democrat, everybody in between, is an organized crime syndicate. Okay. And again, the one thing that may be able to bring America together, we're so divided over race, religion, sex, politics, all this BS. The one thing that may be able to bring us together is our unity to fight against the scientific dictatorship, surveillance, police state. That may be what finally brings the American people together and says, we've had enough of this bullshit.
People who oppose AI-powered mass surveillance are what the CEO of Flock, Garrett Langley, calls terrorists.
And then unfortunately there's terroristic organizations like DFlock, whose primary motivation is chaos.
Flock is a $7.5 billion mass surveillance company that spreads through securing local government contracts now in over 5,000 communities, and has more than 20 billion vehicle tracking plate scans every month. A lot of these contracts are secured without public input, and I get why people wouldn't want these cameras, but Garrett says opposition, organized opposition, is terrorism. That's why we have democracy instead.
That's why we have a democratically elected process, right? Like we're not forcing Flock on anyone.
That's interesting, Garrett, because towns that voted to end their partnership with Flock still have cameras running. Here's an example unfolding right now. After massive public opposition to surveillance, the Cleveland Public Safety Commission voted not to renew their contract with Flock. Yay, democratic elected processes. But wait, what's this? The cameras are still running? They're holding a revote?
I am frustrated that despite a 3-1 vote against renewing the city's Flock contract 2 weeks ago, Flock is for some reason getting a do-over.
Residents say that after the original vote to end the contract, the city council president, mayor, and police chief pushed for reversing course, resulting in a revote that now has advanced the contract despite public opposition. The next step is a full council vote on July 15th, less than a week after the revote. This leaves residents with very little time to fight back, and keeping the cameras on is one thing. Another is a community celebrating a win they fought for, only to be told it didn't hold weeks later.
I've never seen an instance where there was a revote on something that has already been heard. It felt like people were able to gather and make sure their voices were heard. And instead of listening to residents, they gave the agencies that stand to benefit from this another shot at convincing city council.
So, people showed up to local government meetings, said they don't want a Flock contract. The local government voted not to renew the contract. Then that decision was reversed, and through all of it, the Flock cameras remained on anyway.
That's why we have a democratically elected process, right? Like we're not forcing Flock on anyone.
Any update on this, Garrett?
And we saw the same routine during the bat times. People go to their local school board meetings and say, we don't want our kids having to wear the masks, for instance, and many other of the issues of the bats. And they would just laugh in their face, essentially, and lie to the public, their alleged employers. So the government is an organized crime syndicate. They're doing it. They're trying to demoralize us. We can't let them demoralize us. We have to keep the pressure on them. Here's Javon Martinez. They're going after him for targeting Flock. Let's watch this report.
After a bizarre scene in court today, a judge says she will issue an arrest warrant for the man accused of vandalizing license plate readers in Rio Rancho, but he says he has no intention to stop his actions.
Do you have plans to continue to take down these Flock carriers?
Absolutely. No, absolutely. They are a clear and present threat to public safety.
44-year-old Javon Martinez is facing larceny, property damage, and tampering with evidence charges after police say he destroyed 3 Flock cameras, costing Rio Rancho thousands of dollars in damage. They say he replaced the cameras with the sign saying, "You're welcome, Republic of New Mexico." Martinez showed up to court today, but he refused to identify himself during the proceedings. The judge considered that as a failing to appear in court, but Martinez claims he exercised his right to remain silent.
No, I can't. You call me, but I am here. I'm right here. I stood up.
He has the peacetime flag. You guys notice that? That's America's alleged peacetime flag. We don't know what it looks like because we're never in peacetime.
I walked up there. She wanted my name, but I have a right to not bear testimony against myself. Giving my name consults as testimony. And so I just chose to remain silent.
The judge said she would issue an arrest warrant for Martinez for failure to appear. As of this afternoon, it has yet to be filed. After the hearing, Martinez filed affidavits from witnesses saying he did show up for the hearing.
New York. They tell us the commies took over New York, the Democrat socialists, but New York enacts nation's first statewide moratorium on data centers. Governor Holschool signs an executive order pausing the construction of the largest data centers for 1 year while the state assesses their effects on the environment and energy use. Well, they need to get a bunch of payoffs, and then after that 1 year moratorium's up, it's up and running, but they got to get all the payoffs. We'll see. But good there for New York. E. Jean Carroll receives $5.63 million owed by Trump in sex abuse case, report out of Reuters. So Trump did pay her. He was forced to by the court. The writer E. Jean Carroll has collected nearly $5.63 million from Donald Trump after a jury in 2023 found the U.S. president liable for sexually abusing and defaming her. The Democrats say, and it's true, but they did the same thing. So don't think Democrats are going to come save us or something, but they're pointing out the obvious here now. Robert Garcia on the House Oversight Committee says weaponizing the DOJ, leading an Epstein cover-up, illegal government slush funds. The Senate must vote no on confirming Todd Blanche as Attorney General. And sad to say, I got to agree with the Democrats here. Trump's personal attorney, Todd Blanche, is corrupt as the day is long, continuing the Epstein files cover-up. Senator Dick Durbin said, because Old Todd Blanche is going, they always do this routine. They got to go around and lobby the Senate to, before their confirmation hearing. I don't know what, they give them payoffs, blackmail, whatever the routine is. The criminals in Washington, D.C. do anyway. Todd Blanche is lobbying right now for votes to be confirmed as Attorney General. Dick Durbin posted this on the X. He says, I met with President Trump's pick for Attorney General, Todd Blanche. Mr. Blanche is at the helm of a weaponized Justice Department, putting President Trump ahead of the Constitution, the rule of law, and you. It's clear that Mr. Blanche has never stopped being President Trump's personal attorney, and I pushed him on his role in the botched release of the Epstein files, the MAGA slush fund for cop beaters, the Trump IRS sweetheart deal, and his crypto corruption. I look forward to continuing my questioning from the dais at tomorrow's hearing on his role aiding and abetting the most corrupt administration in American history. Todd Blanche, let's hear this. This is James Wilkinshaw on old Todd Blanche.
I have said any senator who votes to confirm Todd Blanche as Attorney General is complicit in the cover-up of the Epstein files, because Todd Blanche has been the leading implementer of the Trump administration's cover-up of the Epstein files, to include violating the law that Congress passed and the president signed requiring the full release of the files.
They need to impeach Trump. He violates the Epstein Act. He's violating the War Powers Act. He needs to be impeached. Here's Epstein survivors are lobbying the Senate not to confirm Todd Blanche.
My name was released.
My phone number was released.
Where I went to school.
Where I live.
My students can now search me and read about my abuse.
I am an Epstein survivor.
I am an Epstein survivor.
I am an Epstein survivor.
We were exposed.
Nude pictures of victims were released.
Our family's safety was put at risk.
Now, Todd Blanche wants to be the Attorney General of the United States.
Todd Blanche had a duty to protect us.
Instead, he protected the people who committed crimes against us. 30 years.
1,200 victims.
And 6 million files.
A mountain of evidence.
But Todd Blanche says there are no investigative leads.
Todd Blanche failed us.
He failed victims everywhere.
We deserve better.
Our country deserves better.
Vote no on Todd Blanche for Attorney General.
Vote no.
No. No.
No. Vote no on Todd Blanche for Attorney General. My name.
Report out of ZBS News, how Jeffrey Epstein parlayed his elite network into a $25 million payday when elite Swiss banker Ariana de Rothschild sought to extract her company from the teeth of a federal investigation into its role in helping high-end customers hide potentially billions from the IRS. Documents show she turned to an unexpected American businessman for help, Jeffrey Epstein. Really? Go read the files, he says, and there he works for the Rothschilds multiple times. Anyhow, in his new role, Epstein appears to have helped Edmund de Rothschild, one of Europe's largest private banks, resolve a menacing Justice Department investigation, garnering him about $25 million in fees. And in doing so, he displayed another facet of his ability to tap his network of wealthy and powerful patrons for his personal gain. As Epstein himself explained it in a December 11, 2015 email to Rothschild, he had helped negotiate a deal for the bank to pay $45.5 million to the IRS, $10 million in legal fees, and $25 million to him, which he said was a bargain, all less than $80 million. Pretty good, he wrote. So Congress will hear from a figure at the center of those negotiations tomorrow. The Swiss banker's American lawyer on the matter, Kathy Rumler, a former Obama White House attorney, will be appearing before the House Oversight Committee to answer questions about her documented long-standing relationship with Epstein. So that should be interesting to see what kind of lies come out of that tomorrow. The Swiss investigation. The Justice Department launched an investigation in it called the Swiss Bank Program in August 2013. It was based on allegations that certain Swiss banks, including Rothschilds, had assisted Americans in hiding assets through a variety of means, including concealing ownership of accounts. Epstein and de Rothschild, the bank's leader, were first introduced that same year by a multiple friend. Emails show Epstein had finished up his period of incarceration and house arrest in 2011. And we know all these details already. I'm questioning a lot of it here now. Yeah, let's go through all the ins and outs. So we'll see tomorrow. There'll be more. And we reported on this yesterday. We didn't have video. Here's video of the protest there at Buckingham Palace, protesting old former Prince Andrew and Epstein. Here's the video of that protest. What did you know? Well, at least in England, and at least the royal family act publicly ashamed, right? They kicked him out of the palace, took away his titles, all this stuff. And so at least they act like it here in America. It's just we put in a corrupt, weaponized DOJ and just cover everything up and dox the victims and laugh in everybody's face and have Blondie Bondi scream the Dow's over 50,000. Why do you even care about anything at the hearings? Famously, at least over in Europe, UK, they at least act publicly ashamed of this stuff, of all the crimes committed by the Epstein network. So we're not getting mass deportations from the Trump administration, but ICE is shooting legal immigrants. So I guess we get something, right? ICE has suspended vehicle stops related to immigration enforcement after agents fatally shot two men in separate incidences 6 days apart following stops in Texas and Maine, according to a report out of Reuters. So no mass deportations, but every once in a while you get ICE to shoot a U.S. citizen. The one in Maine was a legal resident, so at least we got that right. It's just so ridiculous. And remember, Department of Homeland Security took away, they said you don't need an education requirement, no age requirement. Do you even need training? They're sending out hyped up paranoid cops ready to shoot anybody that looks at them halfway sideways here now. But we're still not getting mass deportations out of all this. It continues to look like they keep running ops to divert attention from the fact that they're not carrying out their promises of mass deportation. As per usual, here's Trump lying about the economy. He's disconnected. He's in a bubble.
But the report was incredible. Inflation is way down. That means prices are coming way down, and we're doing a great job.
Just bullshit. It's bullshit. Prices are not coming down. Inflation's not down. They put out this BS CPI number we'll get to in a minute. The U.S. has paid companies $81 million in tariff refunds so far this year. And not in this report, but per Aaron Day, freaking Lutnick and his company, Cantor Fitzgerald, engineered the tariff scheme knowing it was going to fail by overcharging 40%, betting against it and profiteering off the back of it. They knew it was unconstitutional as ruled by the Supreme Court. They didn't care because they bet for it to fail, which they knew it would because they engineered it to fail. In February, the Supreme Court ruled that most of Trump's tariffs were illegal, and the government paid out most of the tariff refunds after that ruling. There is no requirement that companies pass those funds on to the consumers, although they frequently pass tariff costs on to the customers. Just fraud upon fraud upon fraud, and no one in a position of authority setting these policies ever pays the price. You and I, Joe Blow consumer, pay the price as Trump tells us prices are going down, and they're not. It's just flat out lies. They rolled out more lies here. This character, this guy, he's just such a disgusting creep. I'm not even going to play it for you, but he always has a shit-eating grin going on the War Channel, Fox News, telling us how great the economy is. Kevin Hassett. What a piece of garbage this guy is, just lying to the American people. $42 billion saved in fraud, waste, and abuse of Medicare, Dr. Oz tells us. That's like, what, 2 weeks of interest on the national debt? Not even 2 weeks. Whoop-de freaking do. President Trump consistently said that as traffic in the Strait of Hormuz normalizes, oil prices and thus overall inflation would plummet like a rock. The Strait of Hormuz is blockaded. There's nothing going through there now. And whatever does try to slip through gets shot in the face. The president's broader economic agenda, moreover, continues to pay off with lower. The best they got is lower drug prescription prices. Healthcare, car, and insurance costs, along with higher real wages for everyday Americans. They're lying. It's self-evident. The Pentagon has failed the last 8 audits. Military contractors spent $43 million in the last election. Trump's sons own drone companies getting military contracts. Members of Congress own and trade military stocks, in case you're wondering why the military budget always goes up. And here's Christian Zionist piece of trash, Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson.
There's been a lot of discussion about what's going to be included in this reconciliation bill. Can you walk through how important and how imminent it is that the Pentagon needs additional funding and what that number precisely is going to be in the bill?
The question was, can you list the specifics of what the request is for the Pentagon? We've seen it's over $350 billion as a request. And some of this is transformational kind of funding that will help us change the dynamic of the Department of War and make it more efficient and effective. It's already the greatest fighting force on the planet, not even close. But there are some ideas, a real vision on how to improve that even further, to bolster that. You heard the president talk about how he wants to effectively double the funding for national defense. Look, we live in dangerous times. We're fighting communism on our own shores, and we're fighting evil terrorists and tyrants around the world.
We're fighting terrorists and commies, so we got to let these assholes steal everything. You see? Amazon has laid off over 30,000 workers since October. The company is also committed to about $20 or $200 billion in AI infrastructure spending this year. IBM. Remember how's IBM even a company? I thought we hate the Nazis and all this and you're antiseptic and all this bullshit. IBM put the tattoo to count up the aardvarks that in the concentration camps. Who's it? Edmund Black, IBM and the Holocaust, I believe is his book. Everybody should go look that up. IBM stock craters 25%, the worst day on record after company issues second quarter earnings warning. Here's a little chart. You could see $68 billion wiped off IBM on its worst day ever. Computing giant suffers record share slump as AI boom eats into Silicon Valley's giant bottom lines. You can see right here, literally fell off a cliff. Boom. Lucid Technologies also down 40% today on bankruptcy news. Another one of these fall off a cliff charts. You can see right here. Oh, yeah, everything's fine. Just keep lying there. Boom. Trump paid $2 million by South Korean company facing trade investigation. This is a continuing theme. Some big companies under investigation for wrongdoings, and they pay off Trump administration multiple different ways, and that investigation magically goes away. This is the most corrupt administration in U.S. history. House Republicans to meet with Hegseth at Pentagon on $350 billion request. Big banks, at least the banks are doing great, right? Big banks smash earnings record, but tectonic risks loom, according to the failing New York Times headline. Earlier today, amid the latest flare-up, they call it the latest flare-up in the war with Iran, the 5 largest banks in the United States reported a collective $49 billion in profit in the second quarter, smashing records and exceeding analysts' predictions. Again, if it was trust in Trump, the Patriots in charge, all this bullshit, then Trump would arrest the head of all these banks and the Federal Reserve for that matter. But start with the commercial banks and work your way up to the Federal Reserve. That has not happened, will not happen ever, because he's part of the same corrupt system and loves lying, cheating, and stealing from the American people, a la the big banks with a record collective $49 billion in profits last quarter. Department of War issues final fiscal year 2026 AP Fit Awards, surpassing $2 billion milestone and debuting software capabilities. Department of War put out this press release earlier today. The Department of War today announced a new round of awards under the Accelerate the Procurement and Fielding of Initiative Technologies APFIT program, marking a major milestone as the program surpassed $2 billion in total awards since its inception. The latest cohort builds on APFIT's proven track record of rapidly transitioning cutting-edge technologies into operational use, delivering over 100 unique capabilities to date to the warfighter at speed and scale. So they claim here now. And they go through a bunch of the awards to all the military industrial complex, profiteering handsomely now. Let's see, how much more do I got? Let me, I'll blast through this economic section and we'll take our commercial break. According to Interactive Advertising Bureau, the U.S. digital economy has reached $4.9 trillion, accounting for 18% of GDP and supporting 28.4 million jobs. U.S. officials say NVIDIA has begun shipping powerful H200 AI chips to China. But I thought we have to do all of this because, oh my God, you have to have flock cameras up your rear end. You have to have the data center, surveillance centers dump toxic waste in your water supply. You have to always have surveillance everywhere, all times, the all-seeing eye up your rear end 24 hours a day because, oh my God, China's going to beat us in the AI race. Well, the best enemy money can buy, it's all bullshit, okay? Why is the United States, if we're in this Cold War AI race with China, allowing NVIDIA to ship their most powerful AI chips to China? Because it's all bullshit. That's why they're all working together against the people. Warren Buffett plans to offload. Maybe we should take a, this is how you do it, I think. Long term. This is how you do it. Warren Buffett plans to offload his entire remaining stake in Berkshire Hathaway over the next 8 years, culminating in a complete exit by December 31st, 2034, according to Yahoo Finance. That's how you do it, actually. If you're of the stature of Warren Buffett. And it was also reported today widely. We reported a few days, I think even last week. Anyhow, Warren Buffett is not going to give money to Bill Gates anymore because too much exposure by Epstein. But we reported on that a few days ago, I believe, last week, I believe. Okay, continuing here. According to the failing New York Times, 1 in 3 adults under the age of 35 lives with their parents. It's a great economy, everyone's dream, obviously. The stock market and economy seem out of sync. Headline out of CNBC. You think? There's like 7 big tech companies propping up the stock market, and the rest of America and Main Street is looking around for top ramen in the back of the cabinet here now. Finally, the AAA average cost for a gallon of gasoline actually went down from yesterday, surprisingly enough, like 1 cent. So that's good. Trump was right. Pardon me. Prices are down. Wait till all this sorts out. It's going to rocket right back up. So there you can see AAA national average for the cost of a gallon of gasoline is $3.96. I was down yesterday. So it's down like a penny from yesterday. But tomorrow's going to be rough. Now we go to the Brown University Watson School of International and Public Affairs. They've been tracking, and I do believe, again, this is way underreported. We're giving them a minute to catch up with the data because I believe they stopped reporting when it looked like we're going to have a peace with the MOU. But now we're back full on war here. You can see right there, $68.7 billion total consumer cost burden since the beginning of the Iran war, February 28, 2026. And you can see the cost burdens per household spread across both gasoline and diesel, $524.48 per household. You can see right there. And I believe it's even worse than that. I think they stopped reporting the data for a week there. Anyhow, we'll keep tracking it and reporting for you here at Weaponized News. Now, live commercial break. Thank you, everybody, for joining us on this Tuesday edition of Weaponized News. Go to weaponizednews.com/shop. We have the holograph sticker over there. We have the white background sticker and the clear sticker. weaponizednews.com/shop. The link is in the description below this video. Right down there. Right down there. We have baseball caps, t-shirts, coffee mugs, shot glasses, all kind of gear over there. weaponizednews.com/shop. Go take a look. Page in the store. I got that message from Fat Bob. He said he enjoyed the t-shirt. So the patrons all say they like the t-shirts over there. Go take a look. We take donations as well. Buy me a coffee, Bitcoin wallet address, Cash App, links all in the description below this video. Become a paid subscriber of Weaponized News Substack. We put nothing behind a paywall, but help show your support for independent reporting and analysis brought to you 5 days a week. Broadcasting live Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 Eastern Time. Weaponized News on all your big tech platforms. Become a paid subscriber and help support us on Weaponized News Substack. The link's right there in the description below this video. Nothing's behind the paywall. We give you the full show. We're streaming live right now on Substack. You'll get the full show, a summary of the show, and links to almost everything we talk about for documentation and further research purposes. Weaponized News Substack. The links in the description below. Thank you to all the patrons to the store, the donors, the paid subscribers, and unpaid subscribers. Give me that like, share, subscribe, push that notification button. All that's free for you. All right, welcome back to the second half of Weaponized News on this Tuesday, July 14th, 2026 edition. We're in full-on war with Iran now. Here's a ship. Here's video of a ship footage of the bulk carrier Looney sinking in the Strait of Hormuz today after a hull fracture that led it to splitting into in two. This comes after Trump claims to be guardian of the Strait of Hormuz. Here's video of that ship sinking in the Strait of Hormuz. Trump not doing a very good job in his guardianship duties. Yep, they sunk that sucker. People pointed out as it's sinking, you could see written there, safety first. Oh, man. Persian Gulf Strait Authority, that's the Iranian side, right? They say, they put out this statement earlier today. They say before the recent provocative actions by U.S. forces in the region, which led to the closure of the Strait of Hormuz, more than 200 non-Iranian vessels coordinated with the Persian Gulf Strait Authority during the 3 weeks following the signing of the Memorandum of Understanding, and most of them received transit permits and insurance coverage. Iran secures $5 billion windfall following short-lived MOU with America. Iran generated nearly $5 billion in oil revenue within just 22 days following the signing of the MOU with Washington on June 17th, according to a report by the Aardvark Institute for National Security of America. The analysis revealed that Iran earned 47% more in under 3 weeks than it typically averages during a full month of exports prior to the Iran war. Khomeini's still in charge. The Strait of Hormuz is still closed, and Iran's making billions of dollars on oil revenue. Hashtag winning. Should we even give them a golf class? They get like a, can't even hear it because it's complete and utter failure by Trump. The findings published last week indicate that once the U.S. lifted its naval blockade last month, the Iranian government rushed to export its oil at the first opportunity. Shipping data shows that Iran successfully offloaded 55 million barrels of crude by early July, aided by U.S. waivers that allowed the sale of petroleum at standard market prices rather than the discounted rates usually required to bypass sanctions. The economic surge coincides with reports of significant disruption to broader maritime commerce, while global transit through the Strait of Hormuz plummeted to less than 1/3 of normal volumes. Iran allegedly utilized the period to impose transit fees of up to $2 million per vessel on foreign tankers. These unauthorized checkpoints generated an additional $300 million for Tehran, even as Trump announced that the United States would reimpose its naval blockade and a 20% transit toll on shipping effective today. And now Trump's backpedaled on the 20% transit toll, but that's what he had said yesterday. And so, see, it's hard to buy. They're not all working together. We're sending these AI chips to China. We got to do everything. You have no rights because China AI. Well, you have to go die over in West Asia because Iran's going to nuke us in 2 weeks. But bro, look, you just funded the freaking Iranian war machine. You see what I'm saying here? It's not adding up that these guys are really our enemy, and they're not all at the very top level working together and laughing at the rest of us out here. China urges U.S. Iran to restore safe passage through the Strait of Hormuz. China said earlier today it's urging the United States and Iran to restore safe navigation through the Strait of Hormuz as tensions between the two countries flared again. Yeah, we're bombing the hell out of each other right now. Yeah, it's estimated 20% of world oil traffic goes through that Strait of Hormuz, and all these other material inputs into big tech manufacturing, agriculture, basically every significant industry inputs to said industry. About 20% estimated run through that Strait of Hormuz, now blockaded. And after all that, we did have a request a few days ago from Fat Bob. Where are all the Lego videos? Iran brought back a Lego video. This one, clowning old Larry Loomer and Lindsey Graham. Let's watch a recent Iran Lego video.
You wanted the strike. You wanted the smoke. Then you saw the poster. Bullseye Loomer, look who froze. Love the red dots till one got close. Beg for the bomb from a safe little room. Now you stare at the poster like you know you're doomed. Bullseye Loomer, panic online. Loved every target till one crossed your line. Graham went down, now you read every sign. Bullseye Loomer, panic online. You told Israel strike when the mourners convened. Turned the funeral into a bombing scene. Cheered every hit from a studio chair till Tehran raised your picture in the air. Wanted regime change, wanted Iran torn. Watching everyone and answered with war. Big war talk from a safe front seat. Now every little shadow got you checking the street. You loved the fire when the fire stayed far. Loved every missile like a rising star. But the second that the symbol came near, that war hawk voice disappeared into fear. it's Russia, now Iran, now investigate fast. Suddenly every threat comes back from the past. You sold paranoia, made panic your trade. Now you're trapped in the fear that your own mouth made. You built your brand, putting names on blast. Calling for purges, demanding them fast. Now one printed image got you losing your nerve. You order the heat, now you hate what they serve. Secret defense. You wanted war. Now you fear the poster. Secret defense.
I like that line. You ordered the heat. Now you don't like what they serve. And they made that Lego of Larry Loomer too good looking. She looks like, a pit bull's ass. But anyhow, obvious propagandist for the aardvarks there. Nobody seems to notice. Nobody seems to care here now. Reported out of antiwar.com, U.S. bombs Somalia for the 74th time this year. For the 74th time this year, U.S. African Command announced earlier today that its forces launched an airstrike in Somalia yesterday. AFRICOM said that its forces targeted Al-Shabaab in the vicinity of, and they go through here, we're bombing cavemen in friggin' Somalia because, we got to fight those damn terrorists. '74th U.S. airstrike in Somalia this year, according to AFRICOM. It's a pretty heavy bombing campaign. Last year in 2025, according to AFRICOM, nobody seemed to notice, nobody seemed to care. We bombed Somalia 124 times. Literally bombing the rubble of cavemen. Death toll from Venezuela quake rises to 4,734 dead Venezuelans that are now, tragically enough, after those two major earthquakes from last week. They're still digging bodies out of the rubble there, tragically enough. Here's the post I talked about a little bit earlier. Trump posted this on his True Social. You could see the map. That is the greater North America, i.e. the technate, i.e. technocracy, i.e. our section of one world government, the greater North America project right there on the map. You can see it right here. Cuba's national electric grid goes down again. They're blacked out there in Cuba because the commies, right? Because those damn commies. It's really, they're under U.S. How long they've been? They've been under U.S. Sanctions for 60 years. They're under heavy U.S. naval blockade right now. U.S. Southern Command is they're helping with humanitarian aid there to Venezuelans. So at least maybe doing something to help somebody instead of just killing everybody. And they haven't been posting lately, actually, since the Venezuelan earthquake, because now we got to pose as the great humanitarians that we are, not just shooting everybody in the face and stealing their oil and gold. They haven't posted whacking a narco drug trafficker, which is extrajudicial assassination, murder. They haven't posted one of those cute videos since the Venezuelan earthquake. I've noticed here now. And then we did have some memes of the day. Some memes of the day from the Department of War. We do love the fact they're using military grade propaganda on the American people. And honestly, at this point, if you're still falling for it, I don't have any sympathy for you. They're recruiting engineers to build out Skynet at the Department of War. Join War Force. Apply by July 17th. So what would that be? Friday? So if you're an engineer, you can sign up with the Department of War and go ahead and help them build out Skynet. Very exciting there. And then, of course, the Q bullshit right here. Meme of the day, Department of War. Trust the plan. And he's saluting a giant penis, right? I guess he's saluting Trump over there. But yeah, just the absurdity of it. Trust the plan. They're really still running with this Q psyop bullshit. What other report? There was one other report out of the Department of War I wanted to get to for you guys here. They put this out right before, a little bit before we came on air. It seems rather concerning. So I'm going to report it to you here now. The Department of War's Office of Strategic Capital. I just barely learned about this a few weeks ago because it was barely established from memory, if I believe 2022. The Department of War's Office of Strategic Capital announced today that the National Security Fund Finance NSFF program, a new initiative made possible through funding provided by President Trump's One Big Beautiful Bill Act to strengthen Americans' critical mineral supply by partnering with private capital. The program will help drive investment in critical minerals. What's it called again? A merger of government and corporate interests? Oh, fascism. Oh, okay. By partnering with private capital, the program will help drive investment in critical minerals and materials that are essential to restoring domestic production, strengthening the American industrial base, and addressing critical supply chain vulnerabilities. The notice of funding opportunity will be released soon. The application link, and I'll link to all this. Anytime they start talking national security, you should be alarm bells should be going off right there. The Office of Strategic Capital, OSC, announces the National Security Fund Finance Program. Red alert, red alert, red alert. They're getting ready to steal a bunch and do a bunch of tyranny on us, all in the name of national security here. Now, I'll link to all this again at Weaponized News Substack. And they haven't quite released all the details yet. But again, the merger of corporate and government interests, i.e. fascism there, anything for national security, because the commies are going to get us. Okay, Ukraine, Russia's going hot and heavy. Ukraine drones struck 11 vessels overnight in the Sea of Azov, including 5 tankers, 5 cargo ships, 1 tugboat, extending Kiev's large-scale campaign against Russian shipping to the 9th consecutive day. Russia launched a new wave of strikes against Ukraine's Black Sea supply network, hitting 3 cargo vessels off the coast of Odysee. Ukraine claims 116 Russian vessels hit in 9 days. It's real bad. Russia, Ukraine. There's a bunch of drone videos they post. I'll save it. I'll save those. Zelensky, the dictator of Ukraine, said Ukraine will receive licenses to manufacture highly significant weapons, scalp missiles, AASM, guided bombs, and jointly with Italy, Aster 30 missiles. France will also cooperate with us and other partners within the framework of the FREYJA anti-ballistic program, an especially important pillar of our future strength. Ukraine will be the first country to receive the new upgraded Franco-Italian SAM PTNG systems. These are effective anti-ballistic defense systems. France will also provide 2 SAM PT batteries to strengthen our defenses later this year. At the same time, France and Italy will accelerate deliveries of Aster 30 missiles by October of this year. Ukraine will also purchase the first 16 Rafale fighter jet aircraft for the Ukrainian Air Force, along with their associated weapons. Training for our pilots and maintenance personnel will begin in France later this year. After that, the first 4 Rafale aircraft will be transferred to the armed forces of Ukraine. And Zelensky, and I don't even have video of it because I was just like, really? Zelensky, who's a Mertz, and old Macron are all dancing a jig about killing Russians on Bastille Day in France earlier today. I'll spare you the video. China's quietly building relationships inside Russia that extend well beyond Putin, cultivating ties with officials and elites who will shape the country after he is gone. Russia has also discovered growing Chinese espionage attempts among mid-level government officials. That's a report out of the Wall Street Journal. Maybe. I'm doubtful, though, because they keep saying that they're freaking basically, well, they're building out, as we continue to report, the Greater Eurasian Partnership. And so maybe at some level there's this insider spying going on, espionage attempts. But I do believe at the highest levels, they are developing rapidly the Greater Eurasian Partnership, security partnership, economic partnership between Russia and China, as we continue to report here at Weaponized News. Take Kurag Island, Trump says. Many reports and analysts say this will be a complete bloodbath for American troops. Trump posted this earlier today on his Truth Social. Holy moly, I had no idea Trump had said this in 1988. Take Kurag Island. I'd be harsh on Iran. They've been beating us psychologically, making us look a bunch of fools. One bullet shot at one of our men or ships, and I'd do a number on Kurag Island. I'd go in and take it. Iran can't even beat Iraq, yet they push the United States around. I'd be good. It'd be good for the world to take them on. Well, Trump's getting his wish, and they're, pushing us around too. And America couldn't even beat the freaking towelhead Afghanis. They're the Taliban, right? The cavemen from Afghanistan. More of these questionable U.S. media reports now. Yesterday reported from the failing New York Times that Iran had detained old former President Ahmadinejad because it was alleged he was being recruited by Aardvark land. Turns out former Iranian President Ahmadinejad seen at Khomeini Memorial a day after the New York Times report alleged he was working for Aardvark land and was under house arrest. We're getting some questionable reports there out of fake news U.S. media. Here he is. Looks like Iran's all pissed that he's an Aardvark spy. I mean, come on. We'll keep following it, though, as it develops here. Railway crews restore critical bridge damaged in recent U.S. strikes in the last 24 hours. They do. Iranians work hard. We go blow their stuff up, and they're out there in a couple hours working on repairing it. And so the structure identified as the Aktapku Khan Railway Bridge in the Golestan province serves as a vital link in the interior corridor, or in the international corridor connecting China and Russia to Iran via Turkmenistan and Kazakhstan. According to WANA news agency, the restoration of the line marks a significant recovery for the trade route, which has seen increased freight activity following disruptions to maritime shipping. Iranian officials confirmed that technical teams completed the necessary repairs to the tracks with notable speed, ensuring that this strategic overland connection remains functional for regional commerce. And I believe we showed yesterday it blowing up, and here they are today. Here they are today running a train on the tracks we blew up yesterday. So great, efficient use of our bombs there, right? Sure. Okay, what's up with the Yemen Houthis and Saudi Arabia? Yemen's Houthis claim they shot down a Saudi Wing Long 2 drone over central Yemen. In the last 48 hours, Saudi-backed forces struck Sayana Airport's runway to prevent an Iranian plane carrying a Houthi delegation that was coming back from Oman Khomeini's funeral in Iran from landing. Houthis retaliated with ballistic missiles and drones targeting Abha International Airport and warned airlines against using Saudi airspace. And Saudi Arabia declared war on the Yemen Houthis yesterday. The Houthis have warned airlines against operating in Saudi Arabian airspace. They put out this meme. We warn all airlines against crossing in Saudi airspace, and they should take our warning seriously until the blockade of their Sana'a International Airport is lifted. Trump does not want to negotiate with Iran anymore. Let's watch this short clip. Was he ever negotiating with Iran? I don't think he was, but
And I think they're the ones that are stopping a deal.
So are you negotiating with the wrong people?
Well, now I don't want to negotiate now. I said, let's not negotiate. 3 days ago, we had a deal.
When was the last time you spoke with an Iranian official?
Such nonsense. Straight up treason here for MAGA and Wave Your American Flag. Trump's former campaign manager, Brad Parscale, ran a $1.5 million per month Aardvark land funded influence campaign targeting young MAGA conservatives. The campaign was officially aimed at combating anti-Semitic behavior and boosting support for Aardvark land, though its impact appears limited. That's a report out of Time magazine. This piece of shit right here, Brad Parscale, is a traitor to this country. Trump's ex-campaign manager is running an Aardvark land influence operation targeting the MAGA base. His firm Clock Tower They're running with the Salem Media Network. They are registered as foreign agents, so at least give them that. Donald Trump's aides had expected his supporters to celebrate. Let's see here, let's go back up a little bit. After the U.S. and Iran agreed to a ceasefire deal on June 17th, the MOU, right? A senior U.S. official was monitoring the online reaction when they noticed something surprising. President Trump's aides had expected his supporters to celebrate the agreement. Instead, online clownfluencers in Trump's MAGA movement were excoriating it on social media. One shared an Aardvark Land op-ed titled, "You could have been the greatest president of all, but you failed." Several posts of the same video of Qatar's prime minister appearing to snub Mr. Technocracy VP J.D. Vance in Aardvark Land, arguing it showed regional powers dismissing the Trump administration's naivete. Others accused Trump of surrendering before achieving his stated objective of eliminating Iran's nuclear program. Many of the posts appeared almost simultaneously with similarities in language and tone. Oh, almost like there's a campaign going on. The official began collecting screenshots and came to believe it wasn't a coincidence. Oh, you don't say. Tracing tweets by prominent members of the online right, clownfluencers, the official came to believe there was an unlikely figure at the center of all the criticism. Trump's former presidential campaign manager and digital guru, Brad Parscale. Last September, the global ad agency Havas hired Parscale's firm, Clock Tower X, to conduct a digital campaign on behalf of the state of Aardvark Land, according to Foreign Agents Registration Act, FARA filings reviewed by Time magazine. Under the agreement, Parscale's operation would produce 100 original pieces of content each month, with at least 80% aimed at Gen Z audiences across TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and podcast. In a service agreement draft included in the filing, Parscale also pledged to amplify the campaign across social media and through integration of narrative messaging into Salem Media Network properties and aligned distribution channels, referring to the Christian Conservative Broadcasting and Publishing Company, where he serves as chief strategy officer. These Christian conservatives are straight up traitors to this country. Sorry to report to you here now. Parscale vowed the effort would produce at least 50 million digital impressions per month, as well as influence how AI tools such as OpenAI's ChatGPT, Anthropic's Claude, and Google's Gemini characterized Aardvark Land and the war. For all this, Aardvark Land agreed to pay Clock Tower $1.5 million per month. So it doesn't even cost that much to be a complete traitor to this country and support genocide and do military grade propaganda campaigns on MAGA supporters here now. Publicly, the campaign was framed as an effort to combat rising anti-Semitism online. An Aardvark Land Foreign Ministry official familiar with the agreement says there was another strategic aim: preventing young conservatives from turning against Aardvark Land. He stressed his experience at the helm of Trump's political operation, with a grasp of both the architecture of the modern internet and the political movement Trump had built. His position at Salem, whose radio stations, websites, podcasts, and digital properties were part of the conservative media ecosystem, had promised to mobilize, was a boon as well. While Parscale acknowledges that the operation was intended to prevent young conservatives from drifting away from aardvark land support, he says neither he nor his firms played any role in turning opinion against Trump's objectives. I've never funded, organized, or participated in any effort to undermine President Trump, even including his MOU or ceasefire proposal, Parscale told Time magazine. The claim that I am coordinating an effort to prolong the war is completely false. The only people manufacturing a conflict between President Trump, aardvark land, and me are anonymous officials using background quotes to make me the boogeyman. Dude, you're registered as a foreign agent for the aardvark land, committing genocide, war crimes, crimes against humanity, brother. Give me a freaking break. You're a complete piece of shit. And F Trump too, and MAGA too. You hear me? Germany's upper house approved a bill that would make denying aardvark land's right to exist or calling for its abolishment punishment by up to 5 years in prison. We did not see that coming. According to the Aardvark Post, the bill still needs lower house approval and has drawn criticism from free speech advocates who say it violates Germany's constitutional protections for freedom of expression. Do they have a right to exist? Not operating the way they are. And it's a Rothschild City of London state. Give me a friggin' break. They're not septics. Okay. They're Eastern European. They're genociding all the real septics. Aardvark land has continued attacks across southern Lebanon since midnight last night, conducting controlled demolitions. Aardvark occupation forces have been observed maneuvering. And they name all these cities. I'll just butcher the name. 3, 4, 5 villages there in southern Lebanon, supported by intense small arms fire, artillery shelling. Further operations included targeted small arms fire directed toward those areas. Aardvark land forces deployed a drone to drop a sonic bomb on Bayat al-Sayed and discharged 3 additional sonic bombs in the direction of Mansouri. These actions follow a series of ongoing breaches of the established ceasefire agreement. Like, seriously, man. There's no ceasefire. It's just, it's frustrating. Aardvark land artillery shelling widely reported across southern Lebanon. The demolition of homes in southern Lebanon continues. You can see that image. I do believe we have a report from on the ground. More images. They're leveling the joint as they do every day. As they do every day during the ceasefire. Aardvark reconnaissance drone activity in southern Lebanon. Reported here by the Cradle. And then here's a report on the ground. Courtney Banu. They're on the ground in Lebanon. Let's hear her report.
I'm reporting to you from the town of Nabatea al-Fauqa, which has also been heavily bombarded by the Israeli army. There's a lot of damage here. They actually just bombed here earlier today as well. One of the hills that the Israelis are trying to capture is called Ali Tahir. It's here behind me. It overlooks the city of Nabatea. The elevation of this hill would allow Israel to utilize visual and electronic surveillance systems on the entire area. And I want to continue on the theme of illegal Israeli bases, which I made a video about yesterday. I talked about the ever-growing amount of illegal Israeli bases in Lebanon. The number has grown to 23, up from 5. They just bombed over here, so and there's a quadcopter here. I inadvertently photographed another one of the bases yesterday on Tel Awida Hill, and if you look closely at this, you'll see that the base is also made from permanent building materials. I also obtained satellite imagery of a base on top of Marun al-Ras, a town on a hill next to Bint Jebel that was razed to the ground during the 2024 war and subsequent ceasefire period. They absolutely wiped the town off the map. Ali Ezzeddine and I spent a lot of time in Marun to document the building of the illegal Jal el-Der base, which overlooks Aitarun and Blida, and also the construction of a border wall that illegally stretched into Lebanese territory. The towns that were destroyed along the border were not destroyed by accident or in some frenzy of war. It was all calculated to occupy Lebanon. That's what's happening now. Yesterday, Ali and I also drove on Hardele Road, just below Beaufort Castle. Israeli flags and surveillance equipment now sit on top of the UNESCO-protected castle, which dates back to the 12th century. The Israeli army has been detonating explosives in the area and in the immediate vicinity of the castle, with speculation that they intend to target the castle itself, which would make sense to me given their patterns in building illegal bases in specific locations. Americans, your tax dollars are paying for this. And remember, the violence that you export will come back to you, as evidenced by the growing surveillance state in the United States and the extrajudicial killings by immigration enforcement, the latest one being yesterday in Maine, where a 26-year-old man was shot dead in front of his 3-year-old daughter. Don't think that what's happening here can't happen to you in some form. It will, and it is.
It's called blowback. And they're using Lebanon, Gaza as a military test laboratory, and you better believe they're going to bring all of their maximized lethality, efficiency, and killing right back here. You better believe it. Aardvark Land War Minister Katz plans for 3 more Aardvark settlement outposts in northern Gaza, says destruction gives him a good feeling. Aardvark Land War Minister Aardvark Katz announced plans to establish 3 Nahal settlements outposts in northern Gaza at locations that existed prior to Aardvark Land's 2005 withdrawal, saying the move would strengthen Aardvark Land control of the area and bolster the security of nearby communities. During a tour of northern Gaza broadcast by Aardvark Land Channel 14 on earlier today, Katz also commented on the widespread devastation in the enclave, asked how he felt while looking at the destruction. He replied, "A good feeling, isn't it? Creating an apocalyptic hellscape, carrying out a genocide is a good feeling," for War Minister Katz. I guess as we would expect. Katz said the devastation was the result of a deliberate policy aimed at eliminating threats, adding that Aardvark Land had abandoned its previous approach of conducting temporary military incursions. Instead of entering and leaving, the army is inside, the terrorists are outside, and the houses are being destroyed. The Palestinian Ministry of Health reports 2 Palestinians killed, 21 wounded over the past 24 hours. Since the ceasefire that went into effect October 11th of last year, 1,110 Palestinians have been killed, 3,599 wounded, and 800 bodies recovered from the rubble. Since October 7, 2023, 73,233 Palestinians have been killed, 173,707 wounded. And they're stacking bodies every day as the genocide there continues. Next report, 10 Palestinians, including the police chief of Jabalia refugee camp and several officers were killed by Aardvarkland airstrikes earlier today. They're bombing refugees in tents, you see. Yeah, there's pictures of dead kids. I'm not going to show it. But yeah. Dead kids. I guess this guy's a little bit older. Aid truck driver. They whacked an aid truck driver. He's a little bit older. They got his dead body. I won't show it. But they kill every Palestinian. They target every Palestinian, whether a small child or an adult. Their goal is to eliminate the entire Palestinian population. A relative of 10-year-old Matzah Marwan Adu Sa'ar, who was shot and killed while playing inside his family's tent today, said, and there's pictures of the dead kid, 10-year-old. They're whacking Palestinian children, refugees that live in tents. And that's all the reporting I got for today. Let's take a look at Iran International latest headlines here. Have we won the war again, Trump? U.S. reimposes naval blockade around Iranian ports, CENTCOM says. We reported that. Divisions in Iran show success of Trump's policies, the White House says. Iranian media publishes video showing drone attacks on Jordan, on U.S. bases in Jordan. Kuwait says air defenses intercepted drone attacks after Iranian strikes. Secretary of War, what do you do with a drunken Hegseth? Urges Iraq to disarm Iran-aligned militias. They've been working on that a minute, trying to get rid of the proxy militia groups backed by Iran there in Iraq. Bahrain activates alarm sirens amid ongoing attacks. Let's take a look at Al Jazeera and we'll wrap up this broadcast today. Trump vows strikes to continue until I say enough. We played you the video as U.S. pounds Iran. Iran says it targeted U.S. F-18 positions at Jordan Air Base, at Jordan U.S. Air Base. Oil rises as U.S. blockades Iranian ports and Iran launches retaliatory strikes. U.S. freezes $130 million in Iran-linked crypto wallets under new sanctions. That's all we got for today. Let's pray for peace. It's looking quite horrific right now. Heading over to Odysee. Shout out to Odysee chat. Thank you guys for tuning in on Odysee. Shout out to John, Deep, Fat Bob. Fat Bob says he trusts the plan. Brother, don't trust the plan. I'm telling you, they're lying to us. I know he's just joking, but anybody out there trusting the plan, don't trust the plan. They're lying to us, okay? Fat Bob says Greg Manarino's multiple news alerts out this morning paint the grimmest picture in terms of energy and food inflation, warning of this since 2020 at least. I agree. It's quite horrific. Fat Bob says here's a commercial break. Bought 2 t-shirts from Weaponized News merch. Excellent products. Thank you, Fat Bob, for letting us know. Maybe you can send me a picture. Shout out to Highland Huffman. Iran's entitled to a profit. Oh, man. Fat Bob says Jack Gamble of Nobody Special Finance has spoken about circular finance to the chip maker stuff. Yeah, it's a giant circle jerk. Fat Bob, you crack me up, brother. Let's see here. John says nobody is fishing after the earthquakes, so Trump and Hegseth have none to murder. I guess so, right? Man. I want to know how many engineers, but from where? India via Canada? At this point, bring back Dark Brandon. I agree. I agree. Trump turned out to be a big wanker. Who'd have thunk? Highland says. Yeah. I tried to warn my fellow Americans that Trump is a piece of shit, is demented, and is owned by the aardvarks. Now they agree, John said. You did your part, John. You see us doing our part. Here, trying to warn people, trying to let them know. Turn off the damn Fox News or whatever bullshit propaganda you're listening to and take a look around about what's happening. Okay? There's no secret plan. They're not the freaking secret white hat good guys in the government. The government's an organized crime syndicate looking to rob, cheat, steal, and murder. Okay? And they could give a damn about you. They want to steal everything you got and then grind up your freaking bones and freaking make bread out of it. You understand? Our audience understands, but man, it's just so frustrating dealing with these idiots out there that refuse to even look at anything. It's just wave your flag, America, yeah, killing terrorists. It's like, brother, that ain't it. Hulk Hogan wouldn't lie to me. It says. That's true. It's all professional wrestling. K-Fab. And they're all actors, and stop believing them. Stop believing them. All right, guys. Last praying for peace. We need to all pray for peace. Thank you, Fat Bob. All right, thanks everybody for tuning in on the Odysee, X, Bitchute, Kick, Substack, Rumble, and YouTube. Let's head over there now. I don't know if I could stand the YouTube chats. Quite a few, though. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. You cannot believe nothing anyway. I think, let's see here. John on the YouTube says, think about it in the news media. Democrats are using Epstein to try to destroy Trump, while Trump is the one who tipped. That's the same. That's bullshit. That whole narrative is bullshit. All right. Trump is part of the Epsteiners. The golden color says Trump and his entire cabinet are delusional. Just about every politician is delusional. They live in a delusional world. Well, yeah, they're disconnected from Main Street, that's for sure. We're nearly $40 trillion in debt, only to continue to rise right along with inflation until the eventual financial collapse. Yeah. I can't argue with you guys there at the time of the bankers choosing. And then when that happens, if we had the real tough guy, Mr. American hero, and all this bullshit propaganda they pump, the big men with the big guns that wave the American flag, if they were true American patriots, they'd go arrest the damn bankers. That doesn't happen. Maybe at some point. Fox's Zionist propaganda machine. I agree. Denver on the YouTube. All partisans are effing morons, unable to think. Tell us how you feel, Denver. All partisans are effing morons, unable to think, and pompous assholes, unwilling and unable to have a discussion. They are children, even if they look like old men. I agree with you. I agree with you wholeheartedly there, Denver. They have the mind of a child. Shout out to A-Dub on the YouTube. Oil is about to go up to 200. I fear you're right, A-Dub. I fear you are right. Khomeini is leader. Khomeini. Ruckus is a stickler for pronunciation. He tells me I'm pronouncing the new Khomeini because they have another Khomeini before these other guys. I'll just say Khomeini. I can't do all the accents. You know what I mean? But let's see here. Yeah, quite a good chat going on. Appreciate you guys in the chat. Zio says inside jobs. I'm sure executives selling off their shares. Are you uneducated, poor, desperate? But no, it's someone else's fault. Try MAGA. Call now to receive a bonus freedom coin to prove. That's a good one, recycling. Oh, man. You're hungry? Can't afford groceries? Get $50 off this month's dose of Ozempic at trumprx.gov. D2T says, respect, Sam. Respect back at you. Thank you for tuning in. Yeah, give me the likes. Thank you, D2T there. Pump them on the Rumble. Tell him, give me some of those likes. Give me some of those likes on the Rumble. GOP are criminals. The entire government are criminals, but yeah, they are as well. GOPAG is a PDF. I don't know about that, but he's definitely covering up for him, and I wouldn't doubt one little bit if he's part of it as well. He certainly knows enough to be considered complicit in all of it. For sure. Denver says on the Rumble, they are manufacturing a global energy crisis as Trump continues hostility toward nations. USA has a trade surplus with like Spain, which most goods are consumer goods. We cut off Spain, Denver, because they're not supporting genocide. So we don't even have good trade with Spain anymore. Let's see. Dems and Republicans are shit, Jason says on the YouTube. Yeah. We need a new party that will put term limits on senators. The only way shit changes without violence. We need a whole lot of reform here to change our government without violence. We need the men with the guns that say they're great American patriots to actually be great American patriots. is what we need. And they're falling way short here now. The order followers need to stop following evil orders. That would be the big men with the big guns. BRICS nations monetary system, all part of the same central banks, Jason. Afghan was never about winning anyway. It was always about opium. Same with Vietnam. CIA drug trafficking ops. Indeed. Indeed. Gaza, to a great measure, is the defining moment, Max says. Yeah. Between J. Edgar Hoover and Dulles brothers, the U.S. has some of the most ruthless, divisive thugs running covert ops. Scobie says, yeah. Yeah, they ran it out of Cambodia and Laos. Yep. Trump couldn't beat a blind chicken at checkers, David says. Then there's child sex vacation getaways. Yep. Bob Hope loved young Filipino boys. I haven't heard that claim about Bob Hope, but I'm sure you guys have heard the claims that Bob Hope was a MK Ultra controller there in Hollywood. Peter Thiel reminds me of J. Edgar. Think he's a cross-dresser? Maybe. He is an open homosexual. Yeah, A-Dub says the girl is awesome. I salute her reporting. Yeah. Courtney Banu. It's hard to pronounce her last name. Last name's French, but I do believe it's Banu. Yeah, she is very brave, and I worry that they're going to whack her. You know what I mean? And she's posting up reports of their military bases and stuff. They're going to say she's done. You know what I mean? She's a white blonde lady, so hopefully that plays in. But they seem pretty damn indiscriminate and don't really give a damn who they murder. Let's hope she can stay safe over there. Trump is a mass murderer, Patrick says. Indeed. War criminal, mass murderer. He's bragging on with the freaking prime minister of Iraq that, oh, yeah, I killed Soleimani. Just like, no big deal. I'm a killer. You know what I mean? Like, you didn't do it, Trump. You gave the order to do it. Do you even have the balls to do it? You know what I mean? Netanyahu is a mass murderer. Yeah, they're all war criminals guilty of committing genocide. Denver says more crypto seized by the U.S. government. Trust crypto. It's totally not used against you now and in the future. Yeah. My mailman is cool. So after a few weeks of talking with him, I said, you from Brazil? He said, no, Aardvark land. He's like 53. I said, what do you think of Bibi? He said, he's a effing liar. Why are you trying to ruin my day? Oh, man. Said, you are bullshit. You are a bullshit. You are a bullshit. How about working on your grammar before using those insults? Bill Clinton is your number one Epstein. No Democrat will call it out. Will they? I've seen that argument. Thank you, A-Dub. A-Dub said, nice edit. I don't even know what he did, but thank you. Let peace reign, Carrick on the YouTube said. We're praying for it here, brother. A-Dub corrected him. There you go. You are bull. Thank you, A-Dub. Thank you, A-Dub. Let's see. Do we have any more from Denver? Denver on as Spain publicly censors aardvark land. All right, that's all I got today. Wait, one more from A-Dub. Yeah, she's got an angel over her phone now. I said the same thing. Gonna aim for her now after showing those photos. Yeah, because they're gonna say, you're giving up our strategic military positions. You're a direct threat. You're whacked. You know what I mean? A-Dub, $10 tip. Thank you very much, A-Dub. Super chat, $10. Thank you very much. I do appreciate it. That's all I got for today. Let's pray for peace, guys. Let's pray for peace and for Courtney out there doing the hard work of reporting what's actually going on the ground there in southern Lebanon. And they're creating the apocalyptic hellscape. Same thing they did on the Gaza Strip. Same routine, building a greater aardvark land project as we continue to report. As always, everybody do your own research, peace, love, and freedom. Speak out and take action. Have a great rest of your Tuesday evening, and we'll be back here on Wednesday for more Weaponized News. Pray for peace and court.